today we are really getting into something I think everyone dreams about. Strategies for, well, true financial independence.
Yeah, it's that ultimate goal, isn't it?
Right.
Building systems that keep working for you, earning money long after you've, put in the initial effort.
Exactly. Making money while you sleep. That's the phrase everyone loves.
It really is. And today, we've sifted through a ton of research, looked at a whole stack of sources to pull together 15 passive income ideas. And these are specifically geared towards what looks relevant for, say, 2025.
Right. And this isn't just like a quick listicle you'd find anywhere. We're aiming this deep dive at everyone. Maybe you're a student just starting to think about building capital, or perhaps you're working a 9-to-5 and you're just tired of that direct time for money trade.
Yeah, that constant grind.
Our mission here is to go deep. Not just the what, but the how. We're talking specific platforms mentioned in the sources, potential risks, and really hammering home the upfront work involved.
That's crucial. We have to get this out right at the start. Passive income can be a bit, well, misleading. It's not about zero work. Absolutely not. It's about building something first. An asset. Could be digital, could be financial, maybe even a physical thing. But it takes real, focused effort up front.
A significant effort.
Significant, exactly. But once that foundation is solid, then the ongoing effort, the management, it becomes minimal. And that's when the revenue can start flowing more, continuously.
So you're basically investing your time, maybe some capital now, to automate your earnings later. That's the core idea.
Perfectly put.
Okay, so to help you listeners get a handle on this, we've grouped these 15 ideas into 3 main buckets. First, we'll look at leveraging capital traditional finance, but with a modern twist.
Then we'll shift to the digital world, creating assets online.
And finally, how to make money from stuff you might already have. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan. Let's get into it. Where do we start?
Sure.
With the money.
Let's start with the money. Section 1, leveraging capital. All right, so we're kicking off with strategies centered around investment. Using capital you might already have, or maybe capital you're committed to saving over the long haul. This is kind of the classic route to passive income, right? But updated for today.
Exactly. This section is really about stability, about compounding growth, making sure your money is, well, working as hard as you are, maybe even harder. Hashtag IA, traditional investment pillars, dividend and REITs.
Okay, the absolute cornerstone mentioned everywhere for stable passive income. Number 1, dividend investing. Our sources are calling this one the steady paycheck.
Yeah, and it's elegant, really. You own shares in companies, profitable ones usually, and they just send you a slice of their profits every quarter, or sometimes monthly. Simple as that.
But for 2025, it's not just about picking any dividend stock, is it? The sources suggest a shift in focus.
Right. It's less about just chasing the highest current yield and more about dividend growth investing. Think about it. A company paying, say, a 2% yield today might not sound amazing. But if they're consistently increasing that payout by like 10% every single year, over time, that becomes way more powerful than grabbing a stock that pays a flat 6% now but never grows it.
That makes sense, compounding the income itself. And stability seems key too. The research really pushed focusing on industries that are somewhat insulated, right? Recession resistant.
Absolutely. Things like renewable energy, critical tech infrastructure, think data centers, cell towers, and essential healthcare services. Stuff people need regardless of the economic climate. These tend to provide more reliable income streams.
So finding companies that aren't just profitable, but operate in these really core sectors.
And there's another layer of analysis that often gets skipped, but is critical: the payout ratio.
Okay, what's that?
It's simply the percentage of a company's earnings that it's paying out as dividends. Now, if you see a company paying out, say, 95% of its earnings,
Ooh, that sounds high.
it's a potential red flag. It means they've got very little wiggle room if profits dip, and hardly anything left to reinvest in growing the business itself. You want to see something more sustainable, maybe in the 40% to 60% range. That signals health.
Got it. So not just the yield, but the growth of the yield and the sustainability via the payout ratio. That's the kind of detail needed.
That's how you separate a reliable income asset from, well, a potential yield trap.
Okay, sticking with that theme of steady income but shifting asset classes, let's talk real estate, but maybe an easier way in. Number 2, real estate investment trusts, or REITs.
Ah, REITs, yes. These are, I think, almost essential for portfolio diversification. They basically take something usually very illiquid, like a shopping mall, an office building, apartment complexes, even data centers, and they let you trade ownership in it like a regular stock.
So you get exposure to real estate income without owning a physical building.
Precisely. And the big kicker is they are legally required in most places to distribute at least 90% of their taxable income back to shareholders as dividends.
90%, wow. That explains why the yields are often attractive.
It does. It forces them to be income machines. The main advantages: super easy entry into real estate investing. And liquidity, you can buy or sell shares any day the market's open. Try doing that with an actual building.
Right, selling a house can take months. So you get the income stream, potentially some appreciation, but none of the headaches of being a landlord. No fixing toilets, no chasing rent.
None of that active management. Now, comparing it to owning property directly, direct ownership might offer some specific tax benefits, and obviously you have total control.
True.
But REITs win hands down on ease of entry, liquidity, and instant diversification. You might be invested across hundreds of properties with one purchase. For purely passive income from real estate in a financial portfolio, REITs are tough to beat. Hashtag IB, modern real estate access, lower barrier to entry.
Okay, but what if you do want exposure to a specific property's potential upside, maybe a new development project, but you don't have $500,000 sitting around?
Yeah, the barrier to entry for direct commercial real estate is huge.
That brings us nicely to number 3, real estate crowdfunding.
This is a game changer, really. It's democratizing real estate. Historically, investing in big apartment complexes or office buildings was reserved for the ultra-wealthy or institutions.
Right.
Crowdfunding platforms basically let lots of people pool smaller amounts of money, sometimes just a few $100 or $1,000, to invest together in these larger projects. These could be developments aiming for appreciation or existing buildings generating rental income.
And the source material mentions specific platforms like Fundrise or Realty Mogul. What's the difference there? Are they all the same?
Good question. They can differ quite a bit. Fundrise, for example, often operates more like what they call an arrate. You're typically investing in a diversified portfolio of properties that Fundrise manages. It's very automated, very passive, but you have less control over the specific underlying assets.
Okay, so more like a fund of properties.
Exactly. Platforms like Realty Mogul, on the other hand, while they might also offer funds, often cater more to accredited investors. That means people meeting certain income or net worth requirements and allow them to invest in specific deals. Like, you could choose to put money into that particular medical office building in Austin, Texas.
Ah, so more direct exposure to a single asset's performance.
Correct. The passive benefit is similar in that you're not managing the property yourself. Someone else handles all that. But the risk profile and the liquidity can be quite different. Investing in a single project is inherently riskier than a diversified fund. And getting your money out before the project term ends can be difficult or impossible with deal-specific crowdfunding.
So the passive part is after you invest. The active work is definitely upfront, doing your homework on the platform itself, the deal sponsors, the specific project economics, before you commit any capital.
Absolutely critical due diligence there. Hashtag IC becoming the bank, peer-to-peer lending.
All right, let's shift gears from owning equity in things to lending money out, becoming the bank, essentially. Number 4, peer-to-peer lending, or P2P.
Yeah, this one's interesting. You're basically cutting out the middleman, the traditional bank. Platforms like Prosper or Lending Club connect people who want to borrow money for personal loans, maybe debt consolidation, or even small business needs directly with people who are willing to lend it.
And as the lender, you earn the interest payments.
Exactly. You get your principal back plus interest over the term of the loan and the potential returns, often significantly higher than what you'd get from a high-yield savings account or even some bonds. We're talking potentially 5, 7, even 10% or more, depending on the risk level of the loans you choose.
Okay, that sounds attractive, higher returns. But my immediate thought is risk. These are often unsecured loans, right? What happens if the borrower just stops paying?
And that is the absolute key risk. Borrower default. You nailed it. The research we looked at suggests typical annual default rates on these platforms can vary quite a bit, but might range from, say, 5% up to maybe 12% or even higher for the riskier loan grades.
Wait a minute. If defaults can be that high, 5 to 12%, doesn't that just wipe out your returns? Or worse, how is that possibly passive if you're constantly worrying about default?
That seems like a huge contradiction, right?
Yeah.
But the way you make P2P lending work passively, and the strategy all the sources emphasize, is hyper-diversification. You absolutely cannot just lend your money to 1 or 2 people.
Okay.
You need to spread your investment across a large number of loans. We're talking a minimum of 50, but ideally 100, 200, or even more. So if you're starting with, say, $5,000, you're not making five $1,000 loans. You're making maybe $150 loans or $225 loans.
I see. So you're minimizing the impact of any single default.
Precisely. If you're spread across 100 loans, and maybe 5 or even 10 of them default, the interest payments you do receive from the other 90 or 95 borrowers should more than cover those losses and still leave you with a net positive return.
Okay, that makes much more sense. The active work then is setting up your investment criteria, initially choosing the risk grades, ensuring that diversification happens automatically through the platform's tools, and then after that
initial setup, it becomes largely passive. You monitor performance, maybe tweak your criteria occasionally, but you're not actively underwriting each loan yourself. The platform handles the origination, the payments, the collections. Your job is diversification and monitoring. Hashtag ID the new frontier, AI investment.
All right, let's pivot to something very 2025, maybe the most 2025 topic here. Number 5, investing in AI tools or automation startups.
Oh yeah, this came up strongly in the source material. It was framed not just as, the year of AI, but potentially the next frontier of passive income. The logic is pretty straightforward.
If passive income is about building systems that do the work,
then investing in the companies that build those automated systems, the AI tools themselves, is arguably the purest financial way to participate in that trend. You're leveraging the leverage, in a sense.
Okay, but investing directly in early-stage AI startups sounds, well, risky and potentially requires huge amounts of capital and expertise to pick winners. What's a more accessible, more passive way for the average investor to get exposure here?
Great point. Direct startup investing is a different ballgame. For most people looking for passive exposure, the recommended route is through AI-focused ETFs, or mutual funds, exchange-traded funds, specifically.
So funds that hold a basket of AI-related companies.
Exactly. This gives you broad diversification across the sector instantly. And what's interesting for 2025 is a potential shift in focus within these funds. It's not just about the big, flashy, consumer-facing AI companies anymore.
Like the chatbot makers or image generators.
Right. Increasingly, the smart money is looking at the companies building the underlying infrastructure and tools, the specialized chips needed for AI processing, the companies building and managing the massive data centers, the B2B software firms creating AI-driven automation for specific industries.
The picks and shovels play. Less glamorous maybe, but potentially more fundamental.
That's the idea. These infrastructure layers might be less volatile than the companies fighting for consumer attention, and they stand to benefit broadly as businesses everywhere adopt AI to cut costs and improve efficiency. Investing in an ETF that holds these kinds of companies is a structurally passive way to ride that huge wave.
So you're betting on the overall trend of automation through a diversified fund, focusing on the enabling technologies. That makes a lot of sense as a passive strategy. Okay, that wraps up the capital focus section: dividends, REITs, crowdfunding, P2P, and riding the AI wave. Lots to think about there.
Definitely. From steady income to high growth potential. Now, where do we go next?
Let's move into creating things, the digital asset economy.
Okay, this section is exciting because it's arguably more accessible for people who maybe don't have large amounts of capital to invest up front, but do have knowledge, skills, or time. We're talking about creating digital assets.
And the mantra here, repeated in the sources, is really powerful. Create it once, sell it forever, or at least sell it repeatedly with minimal extra effort.
Exactly. The heavy lifting is all front-loaded. You build the thing and then potentially earn royalties or sales revenue from it for years to come.
This is where you can turn your expertise, maybe you're great at photography, fitness coaching, marketing, even like advanced spreadsheet skills, into a scalable product. Hashtag TEIA, scalable knowledge and software. Let's kick off with number 6, create a digital product. The sources called these digital gold mines, things like ebooks, specialized templates, online courses.
Yeah, the scalability here is just phenomenal. Think about it. The effort to write, say, a detailed 50-page ebook on a specific topic like gluten-free baking.
Yeah.
That effort is fixed. You do it once.
Right.
But that same digital file can be sold one time, 100 times, 10,000 times, all over the world. The marginal cost of selling one more copy is basically zero.
And the key is leveraging platforms to handle the mechanics, right? So it stays passive after creation.
Absolutely. You don't want to be manually emailing files to buyers. Platforms like Gumroad or Sendowl make it incredibly easy to set up a simple sales page, process payments securely, and automatically deliver the digital product to the customer. It's all automated.
And for more complex products like video courses,
For online courses, Platforms like Teachable, Thinkific, or even Udemy handle everything: video hosting, student enrollment, payment processing, progress tracking. They take a cut, of course, but they manage the huge technical infrastructure, letting you focus on creating the content. Your main ongoing task might just be occasionally updating the course or answering student questions.
So the passive income potential really scales with the value you provide. A simple $19 template solves one small problem. A comprehensive $500 course solves a much bigger one.
Precisely. Match the format and price to the depth of the expertise you're sharing.
Okay, slightly related, but maybe a bit more technical. Number 7, create an app or tool. Now, I think a lot of listeners hear create an app and immediately think, nope, I'm not a coder, huge barrier.
And that's a totally valid reaction, historically. But this is where things have really changed, especially looking towards 2025. The rise of low-code and no-code platforms is massive.
Okay, tell me more about those.
Platforms like Bubble, Glide, SoftHire, or Edelo. They allow people with little to no traditional coding experience to build surprisingly sophisticated web applications or even simple mobile apps using visual interfaces, drag-and-drop elements, and pre-built logic blocks.
So you don't need to write Python or JavaScript from scratch?
For many types of apps, no. You're configuring rather than coding. Think about creating maybe a niche calculator for a specific industry, like a freelance tax estimator, or a specialized project planner for a certain type of creative work, or a habit tracker focused on a unique methodology. These are achievable now without being a full-stack developer.
The upfront work is still significant than designing the user experience, figuring out the logic, the workflow.
Oh, definitely. The thinking, the design, the marketing, that's still hard work. But the technical execution barrier has been lowered dramatically. And once your app or tool is built and launched, maybe on an app store or just as a web tool,
then the monetization can become passive.
Right. You can monetize through a small monthly subscription fee, maybe a one-time purchase, or even by incorporating unobtrusive ads if it's a free tool with enough users.
Yeah.
That system, once it finds its audience, can potentially generate income for years with just minimal maintenance and updates.
Okay, that opens up possibilities. Now, for those who lean more towards words than visual builders, number 8, write a book or audiobook.
Ah, the classic long-term royalty play. Writing a book is the epitome of upfront effort for long-tail passive income.
And the big trend highlighted for 2025 is the continued explosion of audio, right?
Massive. People are consuming audio content, audiobooks, podcasts like crazy, while commuting, exercising, doing chores. It fits into people's lives easily. So if you're writing a book today, especially if you're self-publishing, creating an audiobook version alongside the ebook is pretty much non-negotiable.
How easy is that, though? Getting it published and distributed?
Easier than ever before. Platforms like Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, have completely democratized book publishing. You can format your manuscript, upload it, design a cover, or hire someone cheaply, set your price, and boom, your book is available to millions of readers worldwide, both as an ebook and often as a print-on-demand paperback. KDP handles the printing and shipping for the physical copies.
Wow, and for audiobooks.
Amazon also owns Audible, and their platform, ACX, Audiobook Creation Exchange, connects authors with narrators if you don't want to narrate it yourself, or you can upload your own audio files. Once it's live, Audible distributes it globally.
And the income stream. Royalties.
Yes, royalties. For ebooks on KDP, you can often earn up to 70% royalties depending on your pricing. Audiobooks have different structures, but the principle is the same. Every time someone buys or listens to your book, potentially for decades, you get a piece of the revenue. That single piece of upfront work keeps paying. Hashtag IAB content and media engines.
Okay, let's shift from single products to building content engines that attract audiences. This feels very current. Number 9, the YouTube automation channel. This one was flagged as booming right now.
It really is, and it's fascinating because it flips the traditional influencer model on its head. The core idea is creating successful YouTube channels without ever showing your face.
How does that work? What kind of content are we talking about?
It often involves using stock footage, animations, screen recordings, maybe AI-generated visuals combined with voiceovers, which can be hired or even AI-generated, though human voiceovers usually perform better, and good storytelling or information synthesis. Think channels that do animated book summaries, historical explainers, top 10 lists in various niches, guided meditations, financial news compilations.
So aggregating or repackaging information in an engaging visual format.
Exactly. The critical upfront work isn't being on camera, it's deep research. Finding niches that have high search volume, but maybe aren't hyper-competitive yet, especially niches where advertisers pay well high CPMs. Cost per mil, or cost per 1,000 views. Finance, tech, health often fall into this category.
And the passive part comes after you've built up a library of content.
Right. The goal is often to get maybe 50 or ideally 100 or more well-produced, evergreen videos uploaded and optimized for YouTube search and discovery. Once you reach that critical mass and the channel is monetized through Google AdSense, those videos can become perpetual earning assets. The YouTube algorithm keeps recommending older videos if they're still relevant, generating views and ad revenue month after month long after you created them.
It sounds powerful, but what are the catches?
Well, the upfront effort is significant. Scripting, editing, voiceovers, optimization, it's definitely work. And there are risks. YouTube can change its algorithm or monetization policies. You need to be careful about copyright, especially with footage and music. And some niches become saturated quickly, so it requires ongoing monitoring and adaptation. But the core video assets themselves can earn passively for a long time.
Makes sense. Okay, moving from video viewers to audio listeners in a different way. Number 10, licensing your music or beats.
This is a fantastic passive income stream, specifically for musicians, composers, or beat producers. Instead of just trying to make it big on Spotify, you're creating music that serves a practical purpose.
Utility music, like background tracks.
Exactly. Music for YouTube videos, corporate presentations, podcast intros, commercials, indie films. There's a huge demand for high-quality, easily licensable music.
And how do you get it out there?
You upload your tracks to specialized music licensing platforms. The sources mention names like Epidemic Sound, Artlist, Audio Jungle, or Pond 5.
Do these platforms work the same way in terms of how you get paid?
Not always, and that's a really important distinction for the creator. Some platforms, like Epidemic Sound or Artlist, often work on a subscription model for users. They might pay creators an upfront fee to acquire tracks, or a share of the overall subscription revenue based on downloads. The end user gets royalty-free access.
Okay.
Other platforms, like Audio Jungle, part of Envato Market, often use a more traditional royalty model. You set a price for licensing your track for specific uses, and you get a percentage of that fee every time someone licenses it.
So one model is more about getting into a curated library, the other is pay-per-use.
Kind of. Both can generate passive income. Once your track, whether it's an upbeat corporate track, a cinematic score, or a lo-fi hip-hop beat for studying, is uploaded and accepted onto these platforms, it just sits there, available for licensing 24/7. Every download or license generates income without you actively doing anything more for that specific track. It's purely passive at that point, based on the quality and discoverability of your music library.
Volume seems key again. Building a decent catalog.
Definitely. More tracks mean more potential income streams.
Okay, for those who prefer writing, but maybe not a full book. Number 11, start a niche blog or website. This feels like the original digital asset, doesn't it?
It really is. The old, reliable, but still incredibly effective if done right. The concept is simple. Build a website focused on a very specific topic you're passionate or knowledgeable about. Could be anything: travel hacking, specific software tutorials, local restaurant reviews, personal finance for millennials, knitting patterns.
You build an audience by creating valuable content consistently.
Exactly. High-quality articles, guides, reviews, and then you monetize that traffic, usually through display ads like Google AdSense or Ezoic, or affiliate marketing where you recommend relevant products or services and earn a commission.
Now, blogging requires ongoing content creation, right? And SEO, search engine optimization, sounds like constant work. How passive can it really be?
That's the key challenge. It's definitely not passive initially. It requires patience, consistent effort to build content, and strategic SEO work. However, the passivity comes later, and you can structure it to be more passive over time.
How so?
One powerful strategy mentioned is the pillar content model. Instead of just writing lots of random posts, you create a few incredibly comprehensive, authoritative pillar articles covering the core topics of your niche. Think 5,000-word ultimate guides.
Okay.
Then you create dozens of shorter, more specific blog posts that address related subtopics or questions, and crucially, these all link back internally to your main pillar posts.
Creating a structured web of content.
Exactly. This structure helps signal to search engines like Google that your pillar content is highly authoritative. Over time, this can help those core articles rank well and attract traffic organically, with less need for constant active link building for every single post. Once that content architecture and traffic baseline are established, the site can become a relatively passive income generator, a money-making machine that runs 24/7, as one source put it. It still needs occasional updates and maintenance, but the bulk of the work is done.
So strategic upfront structure leads to longer-term passivity.
Got it. Last one in this digital creation section. Number 12, sell stock photos or videos.
Right, this is for the visually creative folks. If you enjoy photography or videography, you can turn that hobby into an income stream.
How does it work? You just upload pictures you take.
Pretty much, yeah. You upload your high-quality photos and video clips to stock media platforms. Big names mentioned were Shutterstock, Adobe Stock, Getty Images via iStock, and others.
And then companies or creators buy licenses to use your images in their websites, ads, presentations, etc. Correct. And you earn a royalty payment every time one of your assets is downloaded.
Yeah.
The amount per download might be small, sometimes cents, sometimes dollars, depending on the license type and platform, but it adds up with volume.
Okay, but isn't the stock photo market like incredibly saturated? Everyone has a smartphone camera now. How do you even compete?
That's a very fair point. It is saturated with generic images, smiling business people, generic landscapes, etc. The key to success in 2025, according to the sources, is niching down and focusing on authenticity and demand. Meaning, instead of generic shots, focus on specific needs. There's huge demand for more diverse and culturally relevant imagery showing real people in realistic situations. Drone footage of specific locations or unique angles is often sought after. High-quality video clips are generally more valuable than photos. And hyper-specific industry shots, maybe unique manufacturing processes, specific scientific setups, detailed shots of particular crafts or hobbies can do very well because there's less competition.
So finding underserved visual niches.
Exactly. Don't just upload random vacation snaps. Think like a buyer. What specific image or video clip might a marketing agency or a web designer be searching for right now? The passive power here, again, comes from building a large, high-quality, well-keyworded portfolio. You might need hundreds, or more likely thousands, of approved assets online to generate a really meaningful passive income each month. But once they're up, they work for you.
Volume and niche specificity. That makes sense. Okay, that covers a lot of ground on digital creation. All right, our final section. This one's about monetizing things you might already possess. Could be an audience you've built or maybe physical assets that are just sitting around. Less about creating something totally new from scratch.
Yeah, this is often about optimizing what you have. And sometimes it requires less upfront capital expenditure because the core asset, whether it's your influence or your car, already exists. Hashtag 3A audience monetization.
Let's start with leveraging influence and trust. Number 13, affiliate marketing. We touched on this with blogging, but it's a strategy in itself.
It absolutely is. The core idea is simple. You recommend products or services that you genuinely use and love. You share a unique tracking link, and when someone clicks that link and makes a purchase, you earn a commission from the company.
The passive part seems high here. Once you place the link in a blog post, video description, social media bio, it can keep earning indefinitely, right?
Potentially, yes. The link itself is passive. The active part, and it's a big one, is building an audience that actually knows, likes, and trusts you enough to act on your recommendations. That takes time and consistent value delivery.
Makes sense. Now, the sources highlighted a specific area as being particularly effective for affiliate marketing in 2025.
Ah, yes, the micro-content platforms, TikTok and YouTube Shorts.
Why are these short-form video platforms considered gold mines for affiliate sales right now?
It's a few things. First, the algorithms on these platforms are incredibly powerful at getting content in front of huge targeted audiences quickly. Second, the short, vertical video format is perfect for quick, authentic-feeling product demonstrations and recommendations. It feels less like a polished ad and more like a friend showing you something cool.
That authenticity builds trust faster.
It seems to. People on these platforms often respond well to genuine enthusiasm. And third, the platforms are integrating shopping features more directly, making it easier for viewers to click and buy. So creators can leverage the link in bio or use platform-specific shopping tags to drive high-volume sales from relatively short, focused videos. The effort per video might be lower than a long blog post, but the potential reach and conversion rate can be very high.
Interesting. So leveraging trust on fast-moving platforms.
Okay, next up for the creative types who maybe don't want to build a personal brand. Number 14, print-on-demand stores. Selling merchandise without holding any inventory. This is a truly fascinating model for passive income, especially for designers or anyone with a knack for catching trends or creating witty slogans. It completely removes the biggest hassles of selling physical products.
Which are?
Inventory risk, you don't have to pre-buy hundreds of t-shirts hoping they'll sell.
Yeah.
Logistics, no packing boxes or running to the post office. Customer service for fulfillment, issues with LEFs. The platform handles it.
Wow. So how does it work then?
You create designs, could be graphics, text, photos, and you upload them to a print-on-demand POD platform. The sources mentioned Redbubble, Teespring, now Spring, Printful, Printify, among others. You choose which products you want your design to appear on: t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, phone cases, posters, stickers, tons of options.
Okay.
Then you set your price, usually the platform's base cost plus your desired profit margin. When a customer orders that product from your storefront on the platform, or maybe via an integration with your own website using something like Printful, the POD company prints just that one item, ships it directly to the customer, and handles the payment processing. They then send you your profit margin.
So your job is purely creative and, I guess, marketing, promoting your designs.
Exactly. You are the designer and marketer. The platform is the manufacturer, shipper, and payment processor. Success really hinges on creating designs that resonate, tapping into niche hobbies, current events carefully, internet memes, specific types of humor, or just aesthetically pleasing graphics for particular communities. If a design takes off, it can sell hundreds or thousands of times with zero additional fulfillment effort from you. The store basically runs itself until demand for that design fades.
That sounds about as passive as selling physical products can get. Focus on the ideas, let the platform do the rest. Hashtag tag Taj for your 3B asset rental. All right, our final idea, number 15. Rent out your stuff. This taps right into the sharing economy.
It does. The core concept is super simple. Identify assets you own that aren't being used 100% of the time and let other people pay to use them. You're turning something that might be just sitting there, possibly even costing you money, like insurance or storage, into a revenue source.
And the examples cited cover a wide range. If your car sits parked most of the day or weekend, you could list it on Turo.
Right, peer-to-peer car sharing.
If you have specialized equipment, maybe high-end camera gear, drones, power tools, even things like party supplies, platforms like Fat Llama let you rent those out to people nearby.
Yeah, renting out specific items.
And the classic example, of course, is renting out unused space, a spare bedroom, or an entire property on Airbnb. But it could also be smaller scale, like renting out your driveway for parking near an event venue or a storage shed in your backyard.
These all sound potentially great. You already own the asset, so the startup cost is low. But let me push back a little here. How truly passive is this? If I rent my car on Turo, don't I have to coordinate pickups and drop-offs, clean it between renters, deal with potential damage or insurance claims?
The coin.
And Airbnb. Everyone knows hosting can involve cleaning, guest communication, handling booking issues, maintenance. Doesn't this just turn into a second job, a service business, rather than passive income?
That's a crucial distinction the sources made. Asset rental is perhaps best described as semi-passive. The income itself, the rent payment hitting your account, feels passive. But maintaining the asset and managing the rental process definitely requires activity. There's friction involved.
Okay, so how do you make it more passive? Closer to the ideal.
Yeah.
The key is to automate or outsource the friction points as much as possible. For Airbnb, that means hiring a reliable cleaning service, using smart locks for keyless entry, setting up automated messaging for guests. For Turo, maybe you use a lockbox for keys and set very strict pickup drop-off windows, or even partner with someone locally to manage the handovers for a fee.
So you have to invest some of the rental income back into systems or services that handle the active parts?
Exactly. If you try to do all the cleaning, communication, and logistics yourself to maximize profit margin, you haven't really built a passive income stream. You've just created a hands-on service business for yourself, effectively trading your time for money again.
Which defeats the whole purpose.
Right. So the deep dive takeaway here is that asset rental can be a great source of relatively passive income, but only if you intentionally design the processes to minimize your active involvement, usually by paying someone else to handle the recurring tasks. Otherwise, be honest with yourself, it's just another job.
That's a really important reality check. It's about building the system, not just owning the asset. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground there. 15 different strategies, really spanning the whole spectrum from, the more traditional financial approaches like dividend growth investing.
All the way through creating digital products, leveraging online platforms, building content engines, and even renting out your driveway.
We dug into specifics too, things like payout ratios for dividends, the importance of hyper-diversification in P2P lending, the rise of no-code tools for app creation, the pillar content strategy for blogs, why short-form video works for affiliate marketing.
And that crucial difference between truly passive and semi-passive for things like asset rentals.
But if there's one core truth, that central message that came through in all the research, it's this. Genuine passive income is almost never passive upfront.
Right. It requires that initial build.
That significant, focused effort to create the asset or build the system in the first place. You're not just sitting back waiting for money to appear. You are actively constructing the pipeline, the net, whatever metaphor you want to use, to capture that future revenue. Whether that's writing the book, coding the app, building the stock photo portfolio, or saving and researching the investments. That upfront dedication, it's non-negotiable.
So the call to action for you listening right now isn't to try and do all 15 of these things at once. That would be overwhelming.
Please don't.
Pick one. Just one idea that genuinely resonates with you, that aligns with the resources you actually have available right now, whether that's a bit of capital, specific knowledge, some free time, or an underused asset. Choose one.
And then, commit to it. Do the foundational work. Be consistent. That consistency, that focused effort on building that one thing first, that's the real secret sauce. That's the passive income hack, if there is one.
Well said. Start small, build momentum.
And to leave you with something to really chew on, here's a final thought. Think about how you spend your time right now. Every hour can essentially be spent in one of two ways. You can exchange it directly for money, like in a traditional job, or you can exchange that hour for progress on building an asset.
An asset that has the potential to pay you back over and over again long after that hour is spent.
Exactly. So start auditing your effort. Look at your skills, your knowledge, your daily activities, even your downtime. How much of that could be redirected, even slightly, towards creating something durable, something scalable, something that starts to decouple your future income from the hours you actively work? Building that leverage today, well, your future self will definitely thank you for it.